Are you sure about that?
Before we begin, if you're a Call of Duty fanboy, this video is not for you. So
Get lost!
now this game, if you can even call this Fortnite-ified brain rot propaganda-ridden AI-slop as a game to begin with, is doing much worse than the game journals and the shills want you to believe. Now I know it's not really surprising, I mean we all saw it coming. The game underperforms and the shills come to the rescue, but I never thought things would be this bad. Now I'm not gonna sit here and shit on the weird stuff they shoved into this game. I'm sure you've already seen plenty of clips of shooting a Michael Rooker kaiju or throwing huge machetes from the sky or shooting at flowers from Stranger Things. To be honest, this game should have been named Call of Drug Trips Brain Rot 7. I mean, this game feels like more like a Mind's Eye DLC than a full price game, but anyhow. I won't shit on the fact that you have squadmates that don't exist outside the cutscenes if you choose to play the campaign solo, or the fact that the innovative co-op campaign is always online, can't be paused, and has no checkpoints. So if you're playing the game and it starts to feel like a chore, which you can bet it does, you can't put it down because you'll get kicked out for being AFK. So if you want to touch grass or lose your connection, you have to replay the entire level. None of that makes sense. But you know what does? The embarrassing numbers. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. We're also going to talk about the shameless usage of generative AI, the hypocrisy of game journals, and what the shills have to say for this game versus what the real gamers are saying. You know, the actual gamers who have been paying their hard-earned money to Activision for the last 15 years because it's about damn time that they have finally decided to abandon this franchise. According to some reports, the physical sales in the UK are down by 61%. And then just look at the Steam numbers. Now at first for a moment the 491,000 player count took me by surprise, but then it hit me. This number reflects the Call of Duty Unified launcher, which includes anyone playing even the free-to-play Warzone. So with that in mind, let's look at what's actually going on, at least at Steam. Black Ops 7 launched with around 86,000 concurrent players on Steam and then barely crawled its way up to 100,000 over the opening weekend. Let's pretend for a moment that this number only reflects Black Ops 7 players. It surely does not, but let's just assume it does. Even then, those numbers are beyond pathetic, considering this blockbuster quadruple A game likely costed around $1 billion to make, but more on that in a bit. The fact, however, is that this number includes the people that are still playing Call of Duty Warzone or Black Ops 6 or any other COD title that's on the launcher. A few days before the launch of Black Ops 7, the average number of players was already about 35,000, which basically means that Black Ops 7 has only managed to bring in 65,000 players and that's it. That's literally as bad as AC Shadows. Not to mention the fact that a similar peak of around 99,000 players was also seen last month when Black Ops 6 was made free to play, which just makes the Black Ops 7 launch even more insignificant. So let's do some maths. Black Ops 6 pulled around 300,000 concurrent players on Steam. Black Ops 7 couldn't even manage to bring in 25% of that. Now the numbers might be looking abysmally bad for Black Ops 7, but thanks to you guys, we're getting closer to hitting 1,000 subs. So if you're new here enjoying the content, please hit the subscribe button, drop a like, and your best roast for Black Ops 7 in the comments down below. Your support really means a lot. Thank you. Now of course there are people online who will try to convince you that Steam numbers don't matter, conveniently ignoring the fact that Steam is the largest gaming platform in the world. They're saying that the fans are playing the game on consoles, the launcher, or of course Game Pass, which I'll talk more about in just a bit. Let's assume for a moment that they are right, and they might as well be, because it is true that Steam numbers don't show the full picture, and yes, majority of COD fans were on the PlayStation. It's also true that a large number of players might have bought the game on Battle.net or whatever. But let's be real here. The launcher came to Steam back in 2022, and that's when the player count spiked at around 490,000, the number that bamboozled me for a moment. Meanwhile, Battlefield 6 alone has an all-time peak of 747,000 players and currently averages about 270,000 players every single day. Arc Raiders is pulling even crazier numbers. So am I really supposed to believe the Steam numbers don't matter? There is clearly a massive audience for these games on Steam as well. So even though the Steam numbers don't tell the whole story, they do give you an idea about what's actually going on. Most of the games that flop on Steam end up flopping across the board, unless it's a console first exclusive or something like that. Because you know, gamers are gamers. The platform doesn't matter. If the game is good, it will sell. If the game is bad, it will not. Simple as that. I mean, just look at Dragon Age the Veilguard, Avowed, Concord, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and the list goes on. These people always have the same argument despite the fact that they've been proven wrong time and time again. And even if, let's say, 5 million players buy Black Ops 7 on the PS5 and 5 million on the launcher, because of course this is still Call of Duty and might end up selling 10 million copies, who knows, but even then, that would still only make around $600 million, which does not even come close to breaking even, because the cost of developing these games is ridiculously high. Back in 2020, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War took around $700 million to develop, and that's excluding the marketing. Last year, Black Ops 6 also costed around the same, and when it comes to the marketing, these games are comparable to a major motion picture blockbuster. I quickly googled the average marketing budget for a major blockbuster film, and this is what it had to say. The average marketing budget for a major blockbuster is often equal or even greater than the production cost. A common rule of thumb is that marketing expenses are roughly 50% to 100% of the production cost. So even if we consider 50%, which is a lowball estimate, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 probably costed around $1 billion to make. Now, with the amount of lazy recycled assets and AI-slop that's shoved into Black Ops 7, I'm sure that they managed to cut costs, but still, realistically speaking, it would have costed the same, if not more, than Black Ops 6. So to break even, this game needs to sell roughly 20 million copies. Not to mention that a ton of players are gonna access the game on Game Pass anyway, which opens up another can of worms. Now, let's not forget that Game Pass is the reason why Call of Duty Black Ops 6 lost $300 million in the first place. So even if, let's say, 10 million players access the game on Game Pass, which is highly unlikely considering there were 35 million subscribers before the price hike, and 68% of them are subscribed to Game Pass Ultimate, that's around 23 million people who can access Black Ops 7 on day one. But still, for the sake of this argument, let's assume that 10 million players play the game on Game Pass. Most of them will drop the game simply because the game is that bad, let alone spend a dime on fancy skins or whatnot. So no, Activision can't rely on microtransactions either, especially when the game is also littered with AI-slop. I'm damn sure a ton of stuff they'll try to sell is AI generated as well, because why pay real artists when you can type in a prompt and print money? And judging by the story, I won't be surprised if GPT wrote that shit as well. But anyways, I'm sure by now you might have seen these AI calling cards and even these prestige icons, the icons that high-level pro players can unlock and display to show their dedication, skills, experience, and the ability to go without touching grass for years. So yeah, these prestigious icons that might mean a lot to some players are AI generated as well and don't even look that good. I mean, this is just straight up disrespecting the very players who literally turned COD into a multi-billion-dollar franchise. And to be very honest, those players kinda deserve it for supporting the same recycled garbage every year, but still, what even is this game? The campaign is so bad, people are saying it makes Battlefield's campaign look like a cinematic masterpiece. On top of that, it only takes 3 to 5 hours to beat. The next one might as well just take an hour because according to the CEO of Microsoft, their games are competing with TikTok. Which just goes to show how out of touch the executives at these companies actually are. I guess this $700 million was for snacks or something because it sure as hell didn't go into the quality of this game. This is yet another game that does not justify the $70 price tag. Hell, it barely justifies existing. I've literally seen DLCs that offer way more quality content than this full-priced quadruple-A game. Yet we have all these game journals and critics swarming in to shower it with praise. Just take a look at this one. Black Ops 7 is an incredible feat by all teams involved. There has not been a Call of Duty game yet that has the scope of Black Ops 7 or the interconnected social experience it provides. Every facet of the game, whether zombies, multiplayer, endgame, or campaign, feels like it was crafted passionately. What the f? They literally couldn't care less about the game. They surely don't give a f about you or any of their fans, and yet you say crafted passionately. But anyways, then we have this one saying Black Ops 7 features some of the strongest launch content a Call of Duty game has had in years. The best part, and from here you can tell this review was written using ChatGPT. Which brings us to Eurogamer, cause I was really curious what would they say about this game. In case you don't remember, these are the same people who gave Ark Raiders a 2-star rating. A game that's blowing up, players are loving it, and it's still averaging at around 400,000 concurrent players every single day. But Eurogamer hates it, of course, because the game blew up without their permission. They couldn't complain about the gameplay elements, the performance, the visuals, or anything else that the players actually care about, so they just whined about the AI voices. The voices, which by the way were actually lent by paid voice actors that Eurogamer conveniently forgot to mention. But when it comes to Black Ops 7, suddenly Eurogamer seems to have no such problems. There's no mention of AI-slop that plagues the game and they gave it 3 stars. I wonder why. Oh, of course. And just by the way, they gave Dragon Age the Veilguard 5 stars and said it was the best BioWare game they ever played. So yeah, the shills are shilling hard, but I'm sure no one's falling for it. However, if you're someone who's still on the fence about buying this game, just look at the player reviews. The game is currently sitting at 1.7 at Metacritic, even lower than Modern Warfare 3 with around 1700 negative reviews and only 247 positive ones. That franchise that doesn't even have the decency to make subpar single player modes anymore. Multiplayer is tedious and boring with almost no skill needed, just blind shooting and running around. The graphics look dated, the guns are bland, and there's nothing noteworthy about this altogether. This one sums up pretty much everything. It feels as if Activision were mocking us, and they probably are. The story seems AI generated, and the campaign is the worst in the entire Call of Duty series. On top of that, not being able to pause the campaign and being forced to play it with a stable internet connection is absurd. The multiplayer has been the same for a long time and is completely forgettable. And zombies is just more of the same. This franchise had never fallen so low. It's a complete disappointment. At this point, it even feels like a money laundering operation. And the next one is actually my favorite. Campaign mode is a joke. Worse than the previous games, but at least better than the next COD game. And I mean, let's be real here. The next Call of Duty game is already halfway done. Even if, and that's a big if, the next Call of Duty is decent, the players have moved on. They don't really care about COD anymore, especially with so many better games to choose from. There's Arc Raiders, there's Delta Force, there's Battlefield 6, which is infinitely better. And with GTA 6 hopefully dropping on November 19 next year, I'm pretty sure the guys at Microsoft are already losing it trying to push the next one out early just to get out of GTA's way. But no matter what they do, and I could be wrong, but I think GTA 6 is absolutely gonna rail the next Call of Duty. And I am here for it. I'm really looking forward to seeing this franchise die. And no, this disabled muscle mommy can't save it either. I would still say it's 10 years too late, but better late than never. This game needs to flop and flop hard so the industry can get the right message that this is a creative medium and players reward creativity. You cannot turn game development into a soulless factory that pumps out the same recycled garbage every year. And to make matter worse, now these games are filled with AI-slop and DEI checklists. I mean, literally no one wants that shit. And with some of the bigger games failing recently, most notably Assassin's Creed and now Black Ops 7, I really hope the industry realizes that this money-making machine only works for so long until it collapses on itself. I mean, just take a look at Ubisoft, probably getting acquired behind closed doors, but that's a topic for another video. Anyways, I'll leave you at that. Drop your disdain for Activision and Call of Duty Black Ops 7 in the comments down below. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.